Hello everyone and welcome to another custom figure showcase. So, finally, so many people have been nagging me for so many years. Well, that's a bit of an overstatement, but people have been asking for so many years for a regenerated Ninth Doctor. Ever since we had the War Doctor figure with the 8th Doctor, Night of the Doctor head in it, people have said it should have been the 9th Doctor head, which I do agree. But so many people have said, do a regenerated Ninth Doctor, do a regenerated Ninth Doctor, and I've never wanted to do it before. I've really never wanted to do it because all it would have been, literally all it would have been taking the head off the War Doctor and putting it on a Ninth Doctor head. That's it. There is nothing interesting about that. There is nothing that is really worth doing about that. It barely would have made a video because all it would have been was literally me sat there taking the head off the War Doctor figure, saying, right, the head's off the War Doctor figure, there's the head on with the Ninth Doctor, and there's a regenerated Ninth Doctor, yay. It really just, there wouldn't have been anything. So, for a long time I have been racking my brains trying to think of a good way of making a regenerated Ninth Doctor. And I recently found myself with a spare pair of arms from either a Castrovalva regenerated 5th Doctor or a Traken 4th Doctor, and it made me realise that with doing, again, you might have seen these by this point, you might not have, with doing my coatless 2nd Doctor, 6th Doctor, and also my regenerated 2nd Doctor, I've been doing sort of more jacketless figures, coatless figures, and it sort of made me realise that actually that might be a good way of doing a regenerated Ninth Doctor, would be to do him without the jacket. And so that is what I've done, and it works so well. I'm really, really pleased with this because this is, I really didn't want to do one of these, and now I've done it, I look at this and think, why didn't I do this before? So to take you over this, obviously what I've done is, the base figure is a War Doctor figure, and what I've done on the back as well is I've also sculpted on the rear of the bandolier. If I try and get it up close to the camera, you can see that the bandolier's not, the bandolier detail isn't that great. But then all I've done is, after removing the arms, I have put in the Castrovalva Traken arms. Now these don't move because the problem is that my original plan was to take the ball joints out of the War Doctor figure because they're ball jointed shoulders and put these ones in, but I tried to do that, and first of all it was difficult to get one of them out because one of them broke, so I ended up having to drill into the arm, and then when I did put the ball point in, it didn't sit right, it didn't look right, there was something that looked very off about it. And so what I thought about doing instead was then using a Raggedy Doctor set of arms, but again it didn't look right, so I really wanted to use these ones because they don't, you don't really see this sculpt on anything else, so it really does make it look a bit more unique. So in the end what I did was actually just sculpt the shoulders completely shut, basically, so the arms, the shoulders don't move at all, that's literally just all completely sculpted in one single piece, but it still looks good. They still sort of look the part, and obviously the head fits on nicely. Now what I did originally as well is I actually had a head from one of the static bodies, this version of the Ninth Doctor. I used originally this head, but in using it I actually found that it is of, and I didn't know this, I have to say, this is the first time I've discovered this, it is actually of a slightly larger sculpt than the head that's used on a standard Ninth Doctor body, which is this one. So it's interesting that the two heads are slightly different. I said I never knew this before, and obviously even the hands and the arms are slightly different on this one. But that's what I used. So I took the head off this one, and I also took the arms so the head and the hands match. So that's basically all I've done for the regenerated Ninth Doctor, but the thing is, I originally thought about putting this in a box, like I have done with my other regeneration figures. However, I didn't want to put it in a classic box, because I sort of view the War Doctor as somewhere in between the classics and the new. And so I thought, well, it is the Ninth Doctor, it should be a new series box, really, but I didn't have any spare. But then I realised that I did have one spare, in fact. I had a War Doctor box from the 50th anniversary, from which I actually used this figure, and I thought that would actually be quite fitting, seeing as the regeneration scene, what we got of it, did appear in the 50th anniversary, so I thought it would be very good to put that together. And it also led to an interesting use of the now spare 9th Doctor head I had, and I will move on to that now. And so here is the finished boxed figure. So obviously overall this is just a War Doctor box. Obviously it still all says the other Doctor and everything on the back, so I've not bothered doing that. What I have obviously done, as you can see on the front, first of all I've swapped over the title. It says Regenerated 9th Doctor. It's not a perfect match colour wise, but from a distance it's not something you notice. Obviously we have the Doctor in there. As you can see, the backdrop is the War Doctor's TARDIS. I used a backdrop wallpaper that was made on the Time Meddler website. I think if you just type in War Doctor console room into Google, you'll find it. There's several different variants. I decided to keep the moment in there just simply because I figured that we never actually found out what happened to the moment afterwards. So my thoughts are that the Doctor, knowing how dangerous the weapon is, probably kept it in his TARDIS somewhere, so it makes sense that he would still have it. Obviously I've kept it saying the other Doctor's sonic screwdriver and moment accessories, because obviously the sonic screwdriver is still in there. But I know the bit that many of you are wondering, of course, is this. So this is the original 9th Doctor head that I had left over, and I wanted to put something in there because I had a blank space, obviously, where the 8th Doctor's spare head would have been, and I couldn't for the life of me think what I could put in there. I thought about a War Doctor head, but I didn't currently have one spare that I wasn't using for something else. And so I thought, well, I've got another 9th Doctor head, so I thought what I would do is I would use a bit of Milliput and I would sculpt it to be a kind of regeneration head. So basically, obviously, I've sculpted on the beard and the hair as well, but I did it so it obviously does look like Christopher Eccleston. Specifically, I left his eyes fairly uncovered because I wanted it to sort of be as it appeared in the episode, where all we really saw of it was Christopher Eccleston's eyes coming through. And so that's pretty much all I've done. But it looks brilliant. It is one that I'm very pleased with it, because obviously I've done other boxed figures before, but obviously this is a very different type of box. And outside of the official War Doctor figure, this is a box that's never really been recreated. This was a period when the new series toys had many different variants of boxes, so it's nice to have one that fits alongside the War Doctor, and it's nice that it is, you know, from the 50th anniversary special. It really does look the part, I think. So yeah, it's one that I'm very pleased of. It's one that I would, if you have one of these figures spare. If you have this box spare, even if you just have a War Doctor figure spare, and you have a spare 9th Doctor head and an appropriate set of arms, it's a great one to make, because, as I said, for years and years and years I've been saying I don't want to make it, it doesn't interest me, and in many ways that fact still stands, and still stood, I should say, in that I wasn't interested in making a War Doctor with the head swapped over, and that's still never going to change. Still something I'm never going to make, but it's nice that I've got this now, because I think, well, this pleases people. It's something that's presented a bit of a challenge for me in terms of actually making the custom, and it's nice to have it alongside my other regeneration figures. So yes, that is finally, for many of you, my regenerated 9th Doctor figure. As always, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like, favourite, subscribe, share, it really helps me out a lot, and be sure to check the description below for a link to my Patreon. I'm doing my very first figure animation, and you can get involved. There is exclusive content and rewards for those who do so, and supporting my Patreon in any way gets your name at the end of my videos. I salute you all, and I will see you with another video very soon.